Grab a seat, get comfortable, and let's get started. I've been married to my wife Jessica for 6 years now. Day to day, our life seemed pretty normal. We have a 1 and 2-year-old child. My wife is an incredibly beautiful woman, amazing figure, long legs, a neat little bust, and velvet smooth skin. I used to be head over heels for her. But now let me get to the real story. Jessica was working at Asmall Private Company. Small as pudding. The place felt less like a proper business and more like a shabby setup, with a bad internal culture. I'll explain why I think so in a minute long. Before it happened, I had a bad feeling about letting her go to her office. New Year's party, it's like I sensed something was off. She spent 2 whole weeks planning her outfit shopping for a dress, heels, and even new perfume. The perfume, by the way, I didn't like it all, but she just told me, "You're not going to be there anyway, and I only need it to smell nice until evening. After I come home, I'll hop in the shower." She ended up picking a dress with a seriously low neckline. I wasn't thrilled about it, but Jessica sort of waved off my concerns. She teased that she was doing it to impress the other women in the office. Apparently they had this bet on who'd look best, and the prize was a case of pricey champagne. I'd never really had any reason not to trust her, so I told myself, it's just a year-end celebration, no big deal. They're doing it from 4 in the afternoon till 11 at night. It's how it goes nowadays. December 30th rolled around. I helped her get ready and a taxi came to pick her up. I stayed home with our child right before she walked out the door. I say it almost pleading, "Why don't you just skip it, stay with us?" She insisted she couldn't skip the event. Her boss hated it when people bailed, and it had killer chances of moving up in the company. And to be fair, she did earn a good salary, definitely more than I made at my stable, but not super high-paying government job. So after she left, I told myself, fine, let her have some fun, let her unwind. She'd been to work parties before and I'd never minded, but this time I had this nagging sense of emptiness, a weird restlessness that I just couldn't shake. Around 10 that night, I called Jessica, basically yelling over the phone because the music and laughter on her end were so loud. She said they decided to keep the party going, and she'd be home a couple of hours later. Then planned in the background, I heard some dude shouting for her to come dance. When that couple of hours passed, and she still wasn't home, I tried calling her again, but her phone was suddenly off. She didn't show up until late in the day on December 31st, only 4 hours before New Year's, still kind of tipsy. She planted a passionate kiss on me and said hello like everything was peachy. I spent that entire time, almost a whole day, worried sick, couldn't sleep at all. I was calling her phone every 15 minutes, calling her friends, acquaintances, relatives, the only co-worker's number. I had one of her girlfriends was also off. He'd even decided that if Jessica didn't show up by New Year's Eve, I'd go file a missing persons report with the cops. As a precaution, I took our child over to my mom's house. When Jessica finally walked in, the first thing I asked was why her phone was off. She gave me this wide-eyed fake surprised look and said it was off. I kept wondering why you never called, must have died on me or something. Then she hopped in the shower and rushed to help me finish cooking for New Year's. Thankfully, I'd prepped most of it. She just had to toss together a couple salads and garnish. Then while she was in the kitchen, I kept trying to grill her about where she'd been all that time. But she brushed me off with, "We'll talk later." I greeted the new year feeling tense. Jessica kept trying to cheer me up, talking about our love, our kid, our future. She even climbed onto my lap and tried to kiss me. The whole thing felt so fake. She'd never acted like that before. I could sense she was hiding something. After 3 glasses of champagne, she was visibly tipsy, while I had barely sipped mine at midnight. By around 2 a.m. she said she was exhausted and went to bed. Early the next morning, I let her sleep in. I knew the venue they had rented for the party, so I decided to drive over there myself. On the way, I deliberately turned my phone off. It was January 1st, so there was hardly any traffic. Took me just an hour. Once I arrived, I found the head of security, a striking woman in her 50s, and asked her if that particular company had celebrated New Year's there. She confirmed it, but also mentioned they'd booked not just the restaurant, but hotel rooms too. Everything was prepaid. She refused to show me any security footage, calling it confidential, but, as the old saying goes, a donkey loaded with gold can break down Any fortress, meaning I slipped a decent sum to one of the guards, who agreed to let me see and save some relevant footage onto a flash drive. I promised him that the videos would go no further than me, and that's how I learned the truth. I saw Jessica on the video. She wasn't drunk out of her mind or anything. She walked to a hotel room with some guy who had his arm around her waist. They stopped at the door, shared a pretty heated kiss, then went inside an hour, and a half later that same man left 10 minutes later. Here turned with a second man. I could partially see into the room, because the corridor camera caught a glimpse of the bed. I won't get too graphic, but I saw enough first. Jessica was with the original guy. He left, came back with the second guy, and soon she was with the newcomer too. And then both at once. In between they drink champagne, talk, cuddle, then keep going. They wrapped up around 11 Quire. And the two men left her room, one first, then the other half an hour later, an hour after that. Jessica herself left and went to a room rented by one of her female colleagues. She knocked a while before they let her in. 10 minutes later, a man came out, but the women stayed inside until evening. Other people, guys, girls, popped by. The doorway chatted but didn't really enter. Eventually, the last footage showed my wife and her co-worker leaving together and getting into a taxi. I drove home like a madman, nearly crashing the car a few times, but just kept going by. The time I got back, it was already late. Watching all that footage and extracting the clips I needed ate up my entire day. Jessica greeted me with anger at first, but then quickly shifted to worry and hurt, demanding to know where I'd vanished and why my phone was off. I calmly said nobody had called me, pulled out my phone in front of her, turned it on, and claimed I never turned it off. Must have died on its own. I was wondering why nobody contacted me. She gave me this confused, anxious stare. I asked her straight up if she wanted to tell me honestly where she'd been that night. Jessica launched into a story about how she drank too much at the party, left right after it ended, fell asleep in a co-worker's car and ended Pete that co-worker's place where she supposedly stayed the whole next day, feeling too sick to move. I asked if she was telling me the truth. She swore it was the absolute truth, that she'd never lied to me and had no reason to, so I suggested we drive over and thank this co-worker in person, maybe wish her a happy new year. Jessica said she wasn't up for it. She felt terrible and needed to put on makeup, and besides, she claimed the co-worker had gone out of town to see her parents for the holiday. That's when I cut to the chase. How about we watch a new romance movie together? You're the star, by the way. She got genuinely scared. She said she had zero interest in watching anything. So I grabbed my laptop and transferred the video from my flash drive. The moment I came back into the bedroom, she was crying softly. I pressed play and dropped the laptop in front of her on the bed. That's when she started full-on wailing, saying she never wanted it to happen, that it was all forced. I suggested we go to the police. If she had been assaulted, of course, she changed her tune, claiming she'd had too much to drink, didn't know what she was doing, but truly loved me and our child. She begged me not to make any rash decisions, saying we had a family and our baby shouldn't grow up without a father, that I was a good husband, satisfying in every way, that she'd always loved me for, that it hurt badly watching the woman I once adored try to excuse herself, swearing she loved only me. I got furious. I shouted, "What were you thinking, hooking up with another man in a hotel room and then two men at the same time? Did you think about your family? Then your child, me? Is that how all your corporate parties have been?" Jessica sobbed, pleaded for forgiveness, insisted it was a one-time mistake that she'd never repeat. She said she'd do anything to keep me. She didn't want our child to grow up without a father. I lost it again, yelling, "What did you think of me or our kid at all when you headed off to that party? You must have known ahead of time you wouldn't be coming home. You had it planned out. Who were those men anyway?" She stopped crying, sort of went blank-faced, said she hadn't wanted any of it to happen, that she'd do anything to fix it, that my son and I meant the world to her. I didn't say another word. I just grabbed a suitcase and started packing. She sat there as if frozen, staring into space. She only broke down when I started heading for the door. She begged me not to leave, clung to me, tried to kiss me, latched onto my jacket so hard I almost tore it, pulling free. Then I was gone. I called my mom, told her to keep my child with her. and not to answer any calls from my wife, and definitely not let her take our kid. I told her I'd explain everything later, that I just needed time alone. I suggested she and my child might want to leave town for a bit, visit some relatives. I checked into a hotel, ordered some food and a whole lot of alcohol, and spent the rest of the day lying in bed with the TV on, drinking, thinking about my life. Eventually, I passed out. I woke up the next afternoon to a phone call from my father-in-law asking when Jessica and I would be visiting them for the holidays. All I said was, "We can't make it. We just can't." When I got back home, I told Jessica I was filing for divorce, that I'd realized I could never forgive her, that she was a cheater who needed to get out of my apartment since it was mine long before we married, and that I would fight for custody of our child because her behavior was beyond immoral. Then I turned around, got in my car, and left. She didn't try to stop me this time. Those two male co-workers of hers, I dug around for a while, put together a little dossier. Turned out they were both married with kids, so for a bit of payback, I sent their wives the home videos starring them. I have no clue how that all ended, but I can't say I care. I had my own life to start over.